Hello there, dear listener. We hope you're enjoying this lovely discussion. If you're not already aware, this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio, a Pan-African Nationalist and Garveyite network committed to showcasing the rich and varied thoughts of African people. We have an exciting lineup of shows that we think you'll enjoy, including
the Bitter Medicine Podcast.
I think black people acquire too much buy-in. Like, we constantly have to sell black people on things that are beneficial to black people.
The Pro-Black Perspective Podcast.
I'm fearful that our people are not really studying how to get ahead, and we're kind of, continually staying behind.
The Harsh Reality Podcast.
To me, it don't matter. I think people are so dumbed down, it wouldn't matter what you reveal to them. They still are in the matrix. They're in the simulation. They're going to keep doing what they did. They lemmings. So to me, it don't matter, man.
The Learning Curve Podcast.
Sexual access has never given you economic empowerment. The only person who has ever been economically empowered by a sexual relationship is the wasp and his woman.
The Cathedra Cheek Show.
When we start rising up to fight for our own, I guarantee you they'll stop doing what they're doing. I guarantee you they would have let their brother go. They was waiting to see what black folks was going to do.
Brother Bakari Podcast.
Black people love to claim folks that hate them, right? They're slave masters, and they are ashamed of who they really are.
The Forecast Radio.
Like, if you pray to the same deity as like your enemy, and that God blesses your enemy more than you may want to reconsider who you praying to,
And Tanzan, African Mind.
Africans generally are welcoming of everyone. Sometimes, to my consternation, I think that they should be less, welcoming.
If you love our podcast network, we would be grateful if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website at www.kwazradio.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in. And now, back to the program.
Peace, fam. Peace. Yeah, I'm a little late. I was watching some better programs. No, I'm joking. Tell you, man, CEO is so important, man. All right, so I wasn't sure. So what happened was this. I somehow came across this video that I've never seen before. And I said to myself, I might as well put some recording of it up. Now, I put the link in the description. If the link is ever gone, you're not going to be able to hear her by yourself. You'll have to hear me along with her. But I would also advise people, just download this stuff. Download it, or find a way to screen record. Right? Find a way to screen record and go from there. Just make your own copies, because these are historic videos. I don't know if you guys, I'll scroll down to see if show you guys what I'm talking about. This is Amy Ashwood Garvey, Marcus Garvey's ex-wife. This is a very this is the only copy I've seen online. Let me show you guys. And it's 2.1 thousand views from 3 years ago. The person who uploaded it had only 208 subscribers. This could easily be lost in time. Now, these are some of the comments if you're interested. Somebody's saying she is not Marcus Garvey's wife. His first wife, Amy Ashwood Garvey, will be 126 years old. So again, I don't know if this is... Oh, shit. You know what? Let's... Tarate, you see this? I should have scrolled through this before. Y'all see this? I don't know if y'all can see the screen. Let me see if I can see the screen. This person said this is not Amy Ashwood Garvey. This is Sister P from I Never Knew TV. So I almost feel like we shouldn't even watch it, honestly. Not that I mean, it was all right. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Hold on a second. Let's just see if we could verify this, because that's a pretty like just ruins the whole damn plot. You know what I mean? Gotta change the title. Who is this woman? It can't be Amy Ashwood because of the quality of the video. Anyone know who this is, right? Because I was figuring, damn, everybody's like, nah, this ain't Amy Ashwood Garvey. Okay, so we take that back, because there is a video of Amy Jacques Garvey. So I was gonna show both of them, and I was gonna show this, my favorite Marcus Garvey speech. But let's just see, because somebody says this is actually somebody else. This is some stupid ad. Yeah, looks like it's Sister P. Well, damn. Well, that all right. So this was more of a PSA that, in fact, I mistakenly pressed the other thing. More of a PSA that there's somebody frauding that Amy Ashwood Garvey. So all right. So never mind that. I guess we don't have any record, but that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes. Sometimes you gotta find some sort of way to, get your recordings, and also, this is a lesson in misinformation. Anybody could just upload anything. I'm a little confused. I thought maybe I should pass it in 1969. Oh, she passed it in 1969. The woman in this video stated she hasn't worn European clothes since the 1970s. Did I miss something? Yeah, Marcus Garvey himself was it? What? All right. Anyway, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like again, this is the lesson in this is a raw. This is that. Look, this is. I'll tell you guys this. This is why AI is gonna have a lot of it's not gonna be that great. I mean, it's not gonna be that great. Because intelligence isn't that great. You know what I mean? Like human intelligence isn't that great. So, artificial intelligence, intelligence generally, it's so hard to say this. But even all of us get tricked all the damn time, no matter how intelligent we are. So there's my favorite quotes from Kemet, right? Aren't even from Kemet. You know what I'm saying? like they're not even from Kemet. I can show you guys what I'm talking about. But my favorite quotes from Kemet aren't even from Kemet. But one of those quotes that's really good is our senses seek to affirm, not to know, right? Which means that you use your senses, but you can't acquire knowledge from your senses. Okay? Let me just make sure you guys can hear me. Yeah. You can't acquire... Exactly, Tyler's like, you're about to mislead us in full confidence. But you can't, your senses cannot know something. They can only affirm something, whether it's true or not. And again, that quote is my favorite quote from Kemet. One of my favorite quotes from Kemet, my collection of quotes. They're not even real quotes. And it's it's a careful reader who will discern that. But one time I was called out on Twitter. This guy was like, which wall is that on? Right? Which wall is that from? And I was like, what? And then I went to look up. Let me see if I can show you guys. These quotes are all good. You could... I've even published some of them in my books. They're so good. All these quotes just really, really great. They're hey, these are lessons from ancient Kemet. Right? The best and shortest road towards knowledge and truth is nature. For every joy, there's a price to be paid. That is to say, everything good in your life has a consequence, right? There's a consequence to everything good, right? And you're that's just wisdom. If you are searching for a nature, observe nature. Again, if you leave him in error who loves his error, that kind of tells you don't press people who are misinformed. Just leave them if they love their error. If they're really nah, man, I'm an Indian. I'm a Native American. You don't press them. All that kind of stuff. What I'm saying is this is all so good, so wise. I don't want to give it all that credit because, again, it's made up. It's made up. I don't know if you guys can see the screen. I'm sorry. I keep... Let me see if... Yeah, it's too zoomed in. I kind of zoom it in so that you guys don't see the sidebar on the YouTube. But like all of these quotes, they're so rich. You know, the man who knows how to lead one of his brothers towards what he has known may one day be saved by that very brother. To know means to record in memory, but to understand means to blend with the thing and to assimilate it in oneself. You know, there are two kinds of error: blind credulity and piecemeal criticism. Never believe a word without putting its truth to the test. Discernment does not grow in laziness, and the faculty of discernment is indispensable to the seeker. Sound skepticism is the necessary condition for good discernment, but piecemeal criticism is there. Like this is like how to live your life better. And I'm not saying this wasn't inspired by ancient Egypt, right? Because it was. It's just a matter of these are not actual quotes in ancient Egypt. I used to think this was like just dotted around ancient Egypt, and I was like, damn, they had like a real serious learning center because, you know, peace is the fruit of activity, not of sleep. Like you have to be active in acquiring peace. It's not something that you get while you're sleeping. It's something that you get through your activity. Like a bunch of wisdom, and then it's just not even true. So, you know, oh yeah, let me see if I can find that. Oh yeah, here it is right here. Our senses serve to affirm, not to know, right? And that's, and like, and again, I'm like, yo, I was for the longest, like I could say 6-7 years, I was like, yo, you got to check out those ancient Egypt quotes. You got to look at those ancient Egypt quotes, ancient Egyptian quotes, ancient Kemetu quotes, whatever, right? And then come to find out, like, and this is my own website, and I just copied it, whatever. It tells you right here, oh no, some white boy made this up. It says, below are some of the teachings, proverbs, and maxims gleaned from the works of Isha Schwaller de Lubis, who was under the direction of her husband and teacher, some white girl, right? R.A. Schwaller de Lubis. And I got his books, and I thought he would have his quotes in there, and they're not. But lived for 15 years among the temples and tombs of Karnak and Luxor, and in order to try and penetrate the secret symbolism of the hieroglyphs. So this is Waset, by the way. So this is actually a really important place. Isha had written a 2-volume work of a fictionalized account based on her research of an Egyptian initiate, progressing through the stages of initiation to attain self-knowledge and explain wisdom and cosmic wisdom. She explains in her work that if one were to focus on the principles underlying the concepts of the gods, i.e. the natures often translated as God, but actually refers to something more of a fundamental principle of nature or a sort of casual agent of ancient Egypt, then one would readily see the commonality of the concepts running throughout the differing expressions of their cosmology. Many of the teachings, proverbs, and maxims relate directly to these concepts and a reflection of others. So basically, she made them up. Now, are they, you know, like, are they derivative of ancient Africa? Yeah, probably, right? But they're not real quotes. So you can't say, oh yeah, our ancestors said. No, some white woman said this. Now, granted, she did her research, you know? She lived in, like, she was able to read, she's probably able to read some of the Medu Neter, and she lived there for 15 fucking years, which is, you know, a long ass time to live somewhere, right? Like, you know, yeah, like technically, if I lived in Tanzania for a decade, I could get citizenship, you know? So 15 years is not like, you know, oh my gosh, she's like, you know, like she's been there for 15 years, but still, it's all bullshit. So, again, you know, people lie on the internet. Oh yeah, I forgot I was supposed to zoom in. But luckily these things are not too, you know. But I tell you, man, sometimes kids just be messing with your shit. So, let me see what the comments are. So yeah, I done F that up. There's only like 2 videos I can show now. You were about to mislead us in full confidence. Are these mental models based on African wisdom? Yeah. So she lived in Egypt for 15 years. You know, 15 years. Her husband, the Schwaller guy, whatever, he's considered one of the granddaddies of the grandfathers of. All right, Danny, fucking anyway. Pause. All right, one of the grandfathers of like that mysticism tradition. You know, like the white mysticism tradition. His work. Let me see. Yeah, so he would take actual photos. He would do like literal mathematics. Like look at the mathematical equations in Egypt. So they were not, you know, necessarily like novices, just like randos. But again, it's like it's a question of, are you quoting an ancestor or are you quoting, you know, an enemy? You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, it's okay to quote an enemy. It's just that you have to make it clear that you're quoting an enemy. You know what I mean? Like white folk got, white folk got some wisdom or some insight, in the sense of you can learn about them. You can even learn about us. Like, like they put up data, you can learn from it, but you have to be clear who's publishing it, who's saying it. I'm not saying that they're trying to deceive us, but they're trying to deceive us. Not right? Like, who goes say they're not trying to deceive us? Anyway, let's see. Let me see the comments though. We got Real Black Gentleman. We got Tyler. We got Brother Bakari. We got a party. We got a full party. So anyway, so I can't do that. This sucks because the only clip of Amy Jacques Garvey, by the way, it looks like Dwayne Wong put it up, right? But the only clip of her is 21 seconds. So it's like you can't really say much about it. But this is it. This is other wifey, and you can see.
When you hear that Jamaica, independent Jamaica, has a black prime minister, you say, well, those people are in power. That's black power. But that's baloney. That is hogwash. That's a damn lie.
But Jamaica wasn't ready to elect a black leader.
That's crazy. Anyway, what's this fucking... They got me on thing. So anyway, so you kind of could tell that she sounds like Garvey. You could kind of even see where Umar Johnson got that saying the three things, saying the same thing 3 times, She has the fire. She has the energy. Damn, I'm just kind of upset because I was going to compare the two sisters. And like the other sisters not even like not even the same, like not even in the same like realm. It's kind of random. I'm actually upset because this video just popped up on my feed, and I was like, "What the? I never heard of a Garvey video. Like, how did I miss out on Amy Ashwood Garvey? Because I missed out on Amy Jacques Garvey. You know what I mean? Like I said, Dwayne put this up 4 years ago, so there's that. But yeah, so what she's saying is, what it is, like black. Wait, let me see. What did she say actually? Well, all right. So I would say to this though, like it depends on what you mean by black power, right? I could see, like I don't know. I guess the way how I put it is this, because in my next book I'm going to talk about choices and what choices you could make and how you could make better decisions and all that kind of stuff, right? Unfortunately, we have to come to terms with the consciousness gap that we're facing. Or even, let me say it this way. We have to come to terms with the lack of education that we're giving our own people. I was saying this on the Shoot the Breeze yesterday. So you guys make sure you guys check it out. But when I was in high school, right? No, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this way. How do you know what people are thinking? And how do you guide how people think, right? So I'll say, for instance, I homeschool my son, and I might have to stop eventually because he's getting older. And like, I don't have the infrastructure. But what I could say is this. When he writes an essay and it's a bunch of bullocks, I make no judgment on the content. You know what I mean? Like, I really just grade on the grammar. I say, that's not a real sentence. That's silly. That's no. This is how you correct it, blah, 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 blah. I don't judge my son on the content. If he wants to write about, unless it's like irrational, I don't know. Like, irrational, you can't think of something irrational. I don't know. I guess I'll just say, I'll throw out ghosts. Not that he writes about ghosts, but, I was thinking maybe like, I don't know, putting a camel in a fridge or some shit like that. Like something just nonsense where it's like, don't put a camel in the fridge. Or even like more irrational, putting a camel on the fridge, which is like, why would you do that, But I'm not judging him on the content. What I want to say is this. When you go through the public school system or you go through Wazungu's education, you are being judged on not just your grammar, but on the content of your writing. Okay? And if the content of your writing fits Wazungu's agenda, okay, or fits Wazungu's narrative, or fits what Wazungu wants you to imagine, you do better in school than if you don't. You know what I mean? So if you write an essay, George Washington is a really good man, notwithstanding his slavery, we forgive him, blah, 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 you can get a good ass grade. And if you write an essay, Putin was a good man, is a good man, he got rid of that, you know, so on and so forth, and he should have invaded Ukraine, so on and so forth, you might not get a good grade. Okay? Not only that, the teacher will say, hey, look, that wasn't a part of the assignment. Your assignment was to write a good essay, write a praise essay, write a good essay on George Washington. And like I'm saying, even if you like, if it says, "Hey, write an essay on George Washington based on the material you read," and the material is like, "Oh, George Washington was a good guy. He did this, he did that, he did that," and then you write an essay saying George Washington owned a bunch of people, he beat a bunch of people, he slaved, blah blah blah, he lost his wars, he did this, so on and so forth. Even if it's all true, teacher's gonna say you didn't use the resource, you didn't do well, you didn't do a good job. Content is bad, and he's going to put you down a mark. Now, listen to this. And this is really important. Because I said this yesterday. I said, look, when I was in high school, right? Wait, hold on a second. Brother Kari says, Oni, you're going to have to get Garvey wife writing? Oh, I actually, Amy Jacques Garvey does have a really good book. She has a really good book. One of my earlier podcasts is about that. Is about her really good book. But, but it's like so, it's so, but the older video is just kind of like my computer was too slow, you know, so it's just like I'm just getting around and blah blah blah. But and I was like using a laptop at the time, but yeah. She's her book is one of the best. Garvey and Garveyism is really one of the best Garvey books. Like the only better Garvey book I would say is Race First. You know? Or of course, Message to the People. So Message to the People, Garvey and Garveyism, Race First, those are really good books. Obviously, Philosophers and Opinions of Marcus Garvey are good books. Like those are like Garvey and Garveyism is a top tier book. Because it's pretty much like a history book. But anyway, yeah. She's excellent. She's excellent. Like I don't think people understand. The thing about Race First was that remember Ani told my group, you know, back when I was organized, told my group herself, like personally. She said, "You guys should read Race First." You know what I mean? So I mean, Race First is pretty good. But beyond that, yeah. What was I saying? It's about what was I talking about? Yeah. So my school, they saw that I had some potential. So I tell people, look, they made up an award and gave me biography of W.B. Du Bois as a reward. So what I'm saying is that they gave me the biography of W.B. Du Bois so that I could go out cooning. You know what I mean? So that I could be cooning. And of course, you know, I didn't coon or whatever. But it was one of those things that they do. They understand, hey, look, we were with you for 30, you know, for 10 years, for 15 years. We are training you intellectually for 15 years. If they are training you intellectually for 15 years, do you not think that a good number of your people will be loyal to them? A good number of your people will look up to them? They are teaching you, one of the things that they teach you in school, for instance, and you got and it's not even something that I'm making up. Like, in fact, I can show you guys some of the evidence. But it's not even something that I'm making up. It's really what they're teaching us. Let me see if I can find the link. But what they're teaching you is the hierarchy of authority. Right? They're teaching you the hierarchy of authority. So I'll show you guys this page. This is a page that I have to frequently go to for my son, right? This is homeschooling New York City. So they don't really have any sort of requirements for you when you're homeschooling, except for that you submit these printed documents. On July, on or about July, you say, I have a letter of intent. And then by August, you send an individualized home instruction plan. And they read it and say whether or not it's good enough. And then you submit your quarterly report, and this is like a mandatory thing, right? So you say to yourself, what is this intent thing, right? No, intent is just saying I intend to homeschool my kid. But then you have this, which is individualized home instruction, and they tell you the subjects they want you to teach: arithmetic, reading, spelling, writing, English language, geography, United States history, science, health education, music, visual arts, physical art education, bilingual education, right? And then here's the last one. Look at this one right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll zoom in. But this is what it's important. And not all of this is bad. And again, it's not even that it's not that it's, you can't look at it as good or bad, right? And I don't know if was that too zoomed in? Oh my gosh, I hate this screen. I mean, there's nothing else on the paper, but I kind of hate how zoomed in I am. So let me show you guys the full screen. In fact, just because it's probably better. Okay, so you see, it's like, we'll scroll back up and show you guys. So you see, you give your kids information, all that kind of stuff, and then you say arithmetic, reading, and then you tell them the plan of instruction. So you're gonna be like, hey, for arithmetic, we're gonna use this book, and we're gonna blah blah blah. Luckily and fortunately, AI came out, so you could be like, hey, well, my kid's using AI or some shit. But anyway, writing, English language, blah 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 blah, right? I mean, you don't have to. You don't necessarily say that. But like I said, you could say you use a book or whatever, right? My point is this. Following subjects to be covered during K-12. Patriotism and citizenship. You understand? So K-12, just translate that. 1 to 12 means is 12 years, right? It's 12 years. K-12 is 13 years. So they're saying this. For 13 years, the school has an objective. Your education has an objective to teach you arithmetic, which is good. Reading, good. Right? Spelling, good. You don't want kids without spelling. Writing, good. English language, you're in an English country, so it's good. Geography, okay? Now, it is what it is, right? It's good, right? It's good. United States history. Now, the way they want United States history, you know what they want. Okay, you know what they want. Science, good. Health education, really good, obviously. Music, good. Visual arts, good. Physical education, good. Bilingual education, you know what languages they want. Okay? But to the last part, patriotism and citizenship. Who do they want patriotism to, and what does this mean? Health education regarding alcohol, drug, and tobacco misuse, that's good. Highway safety and traffic regulations, very good. Including bicycle safety, good. And fire and arson prevention and safety. That's very good. All this is good, but you gotta understand the school has an agenda. Okay? Now, here's the reality. A good leader, like education makes a good leader. I'll put it that way. Education makes a good leader. And because education makes a good leader, and because you don't have schools, you slipped up. Because education makes good leaders, you slipped up. Because when you start producing leadership, right? Because you're not producing good leadership yourself on an institutional, systemic way. Certainly, somebody could be self-educated like Marcus Garvey or Malcolm X or whomever, right? You could get a self-educated person. But the fact that it's not systemic is what's really screwing you over. Sister Matron read Carlos Cook's essay. What I like about the Carlos Cook essay is that technically he went to a leadership school when he was a young person, right? That's the result of systemic. Like, there's a lot of individual efforts for a systematic leadership. There's a lot of leadership training in the community. Even that guy King Randall has like that kind of right. So props to him. It's not a hard task to do. There's this billionaire, I can't remember his name. Well, not billionaire, but multi-billionaire who started a leadership thing inside of Cameroon or something like that. There's a lot of it. Even Lumumba. For a while, we were hearing about this kid. I can't remember his name. I think it was Ousmane Touré or something like that. We haven't really heard from him again though. But that was a thing. I kind of want to look him up, but also, YouTube's pretty curated, so I could. I wrote down the wrong name. I wrote down Arsman. Was it Ousmane? I feel like his name is Ousmane. No, I don't remember his name. PLO Lumumba. Student, I guess? I don't know. There was some kid that we were all like so hyped to see. He's like, I rejected some school and I don't remember his name. But there was like some kid. Do you guys remember? But anyway, so I feel like it was Ousmane, but it might not have been. My point is this though. If you don't have a school, then unfortunately the most talented, the most qualified people are probably going to be patriotic to the people who trained them. You know what I mean? Like if I said, if the biography of W. Du Bois was a little bit better, not that it was a bad biography, but if it was a little bit better, I could have been a Du Bois guy. In fact, in some respects, I was a bit, like everybody kind of gets out of the American system a little bit patriotic, a little bit cooning, a little bit all that kind of stuff. So again, I don't know. I don't know if I would say that it's not black power to have a black person in power, right? I would just say that it's not the kind of black power that you might like, right? But at the same time, it's like, well, what do you expect if you don't educate people? In fact, I'm reminded of one of the most interesting developments on the Burkina Faso situation. I don't know if I can find the link, but one of the most interesting developments is this. They're building like a spiritual center. So there's this really good channel. Let's see if I can find it on Twitter. Oh man, now Twitter is a risky one to just open up randomly. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna open it up randomly on screen because I don't really have nothing showing up on my screen ever. But at the same time, oh wait, I am opening it up. Okay, hold on a second. I was like, let me just use a different window. Okay, good. So it's almost this guy. Let me see what you guys can see. So I don't want to scroll through. I'm not gonna scroll through. Like, you never know. You might just see, ass and titties, ass titties, ass and titties. Not that I've been following that. It's just, occasionally like that stuff pops up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch the screen to something else. What are we gonna do? We're gonna look at some of the comments. So we'll put it on this screen. And I'm just going to show you guys one of the better accounts. So you should put the link in the chat so education can be discussed. Yeah, I'll do that. Let me just what's his face? Let me just find this link real quick. Sure, some nice looking woman just showed up, but it wasn't ass and titties. It was just a little distracting. Let me find if what was the name of this? What was the name of this guy? So there's this guy who's like really actively like pushing out propaganda, I guess, for my brother and thing. Hold on a second. I can show you guys the screen because I don't retweet none of that nonsense. So I can show you guys my retweet page. Is it website? Okay. So we're gonna scroll through. You got our brother Keter. You got D-Web from the Harsh Reality. This is stuff going on in the Congo. Really bad stuff. Free book or Amilcar Cabral. I'm just kind of mad. Oh yeah, this is the brother. So Cy Marcus, really good account. Let's hope that and you guys should follow this guy. Let's hope he didn't retweet anything bad. But and look at that, he's actually put up Umar Johnson, which is pretty crazy. But there's one article that was really, really interesting, to say the least, and it kind of shows you that you're not going to agree with everybody. You're not going to agree with everybody. But again, it's also important why I stress you got to get to the leadership. Or you got to elevate your status so that you can engage the leadership. Right? Because at the end of the day, the leadership can do big things that that the small people can't do. So you're going to see something that, I might not necessarily agree with. Some of you might agree with it, or a lot of people do agree with it. But you're going to see things that I don't agree with. And yet, it's like $817 million. So look at this right here. Launching of the African Occult Science HQ. So Brother Bakari is on a spiritual tip. He got his, he calls it a Baba. But on the spirituality tip. So, people in Africa are on the spirituality tip. So this is the question. So it's, I guess it's Mali, but it's like Bamako is going to be the capital of African Occult Sciences. Goita Asimi, through his Minister of Culture, has inaugurated the HQ for all those who are guardians of African traditions, occultism. It was idea initiated by Professor Mamadou Babou Niang, the supreme leader of African magic, who sponsored the construction of the 5-story building with 20 rooms and 10 storehouses and 10 bathrooms. The building cost more than 500 million CFA francs, which is about $817 million. Now, here's that, you gotta see if you can engage the leadership. If you, because even if you said to yourself, "Hey, Oni, why don't you build a school?" If I build a school, I'll tell you guys truthfully. At this point in time, if I build a school at this point in time, it's going to be a fucking shack. It's probably going to cost me to build a school, honestly, just judging by how much it costs me to build a fucking house. And it depends on what kind of a school you're talking about, like a 1-room school. I guess if it's a 1-room school, it might cost you like $20,000-$30,000. Okay? Or even probably $40,000 because you have to buy the land, right? And that would be like a 1-room school. Okay? That would be the most realistic thing I could do. And I'm not saying I could do that. I'm just saying that if I were pressed to say, "Hey, let me build a school." Now, if you're talking about I don't know, 30-room school, or I don't know, maybe not 30 rooms. I don't know how big a school is. I guess you could probably do like a 10-room school or a 6-room school. Yeah, like a 6-room school. Again, it might be like 50,000, 60,000. I don't know. I don't really know. But what I'm saying is that building, the price ranges that I'd be looking at for a project like that is, obviously less than $100,000. This is $817 million. Okay? How do you get, so again, if you come to me and you say, "Oni, let's build a school, we should do a school, we can do a school," and I'm not saying I have, $100,000 sitting around. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that the scale that I would be trying to build a school at would be in that range. Okay? Would be in that range. And again, you might be like, "Well, that's because you're thinking of Africa." Exactly. This is in Africa. $817 million for an African Occult Sciences HQ. So he says, so Professor, and the guy, this brother, he's a good brother, and he's defending it. And what I'm saying is that you don't have to agree with people. But he's like, look, so Professor Nyang is saying that Africa was pulled back because she failed to value her mystical powers and abilities, and therefore, he said, this center is built so that all African witches, wizards will converge to Mali, so that they can all work together towards making Africa what she is supposed to be. Now, I must remind you that the occult is a category of supernatural beliefs and practices that are generally outside of science and organized religion. It includes phenomena that involve otherworldly agencies, such as magic and mysticism. It's not something science can explain, but it's real. Just like you can't explain miracles, this is the same. It's something that stems from the spirit world. I know many of Islam or Christianity think this is superstition, but let me remind you that there is still Western tradition of occultism up to this very day. It is an ancient secret philosophy that is the basics for all occult practices. This secret philosophy comes from Hellenistic alchemy, magic and alchemy, such as Jewish mysticism. In fact, astrology, alchemy, magic, Jewish and Christian Kabbalah, theosophy, Rosicrucianism, Illuminism, occultism, spiritualism are all part of the occult sciences. By the way, my screen is really, really far from me. In case you're like, why don't you know this word? And also, like I said, I'm not a religious guy, like not even remotely. All right, so moreover, many so-called professed Muslims or Christians still practice occultism and magic, so no one can tell me otherwise or fool me here. I guess those who have been calling Africa to return to their spirituality are finally getting echoes. After all, I perfectly understand the great controversy between good and evil, God and Satan. Recently, my kin, Kanobrachore, is the chief of the village, and he gathered all the sorcerers, and they met under the direction of the government. Things are moving fast. So what do you make of all this, right? So again, this is not his native language. I think he speaks French, and he just kind of announces it to the English world. A lot of people are celebrating it, and for good reason. I mean, obviously, we have Ortega, anyway, blah blah, $817 million. I thought it was. Oh, okay. Okay, it was $817,000. Okay, that was a little bit more reasonable. That's a little more reasonable. I was like, $817 million. That's fucking. Okay, he says $817,000. Okay. Well, that's not a story then. I was like, what the fuck kind of money they got, man? Anyway, so I tell you, man, we just went over this. How many fucking times? And you can't blame me. I know. Tyler's in the comments like, this motherfucker don't fact check nothing. No, like legit. This is I think the guy just recently wrote it. Let me see, February 15th. When did I see this? Did I see this on February 15th or before that? February 15th. Shit. Well, I don't usually scroll through these comments because I'm like, I don't give a shit about nothing. Let me see if he said it in French. What did he say in French? No, because he also said 500 million CFA. I don't think. I guess the CFA is not worth that much. I don't know. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I figured the French. I mean, I don't know what the CFA is, but I figured the French dollar. I thought it was the French dollar or some shit. But whatever. He's like into 17,000, which is not, breaking the bank, for a country. But it's actually better that it's not $817 million because I was like, what the fuck kind of. Like, what kind of priority was that? But 817,000. That's good enough. All right. So anyway, let me get the link for Brother Bakari. But yeah, I guess we're talking about. Oh yeah, let me just play this video. I mean, I'll get the link and I'll play the video. While Brother Bakari is coming up. Let's see. I'm gonna make a new meeting. We're going to transfer. We're going to copy. All right. Okay, so the only thing I want to play is, I guess, my Marcus Garvey quote, which I like. I think Brother Bakari played it on his show the other day. But this is it.
You met with Edward Young Clark, the acting imperial wizard of the Ku Klux Klan?
Yes.
What was that meeting like?
It was rather cordial. He made it clear that they are interpreting the true spirit of every true American.
What is the attitude of the Klan towards a Negro who desires to be, say, President of the United States?
That he shall never be as long as there is one white man living in this country.
But isn't America a white man's country?
Yes, it is a white man's country because he conquered the Indian, exterminated him, and took possession of his property. I'd say the KKK is the invisible government of the United States.
What do you mean?
The Klan represents the spiritual feeling and even the physical attitude of every white man in it.
So I want to just stop there. Sorry, I forgot. What Marcus Garvey said. Yeah, you gotta realize. Marcus Garvey is telling you, hey, look, America is the white man's. Right? Why is it the white man's? Because he killed the fucking Native American. You know, and I mean, like, even if you say, hey, you know what? I built this country. You know, I worked the grounds, I cleared the forests, I did that and so forth, right? Even if you could say that, it's like, but did you kill the natives? Or was it your idea to kill the natives? Right? And that's the big difference. Without having killed the natives and replaced their government, this wouldn't be the United States. Like, this would be, you know, Cherokee Nation or something. Which I, you know, obviously I would have thought would have been better than the United States, obviously. But you got to put together, hey, you know what? And this is the thing that we got to realize. The people with the violence run the show. Like, you go to a prison, you know who's making money? The prisoners. You know who costs money? The wardens. Right? So the prisoners make money. The wardens cost money. The prisoners can... the prisoners cost money too, obviously, but they make money, right? The prisoners can generate the profit for the prison industrial complex. They can generate the profit so that the prison can stay running. And if the prisoner says, hey, you know, we built this prison, right? They're sadly mistaken. Right? As they say, they say, you know, we run this prison. They're sadly mistaken. Now, if the prisoners take over, they revolt, and they kill the wardens, and they so on and so forth, yeah, they'll run the prison. And that's how the world works. The world works on who controls the violence. That's how the world works. The world works on who controls the violence. I'm actually just noticing this is like a weird character for the article. For the whoever uploaded the video. But let me see. I think Brother Bakari. Yeah. Peace, Brother Bakari. How you doing?
Peace. What's going on?
I'm cool.
Can you hear me?
I don't know if they can hear you, but I can hear you definitely.
And if they can't hear that, means you might want to start using something else, man. I'm just throwing it out there. But can y'all get me in the chat?
Let me see. Well, I mean, as far as I can tell, I don't know if there's anybody in the chat. But anyway, let me see.
Let me see something. I'm gonna see if I can hear. Yeah, they can hear me.
Okay. All right. So what I'm saying is this. Oh yeah, sorry. What were you saying?
No, go ahead.
No. I wasn't saying anything. I just realized I was just checking to see if you were here.
No, what I was doing is, right, when you were talking about education, their school system, their everything, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make like their school system is good. You feel me? But when you talk math, good, science, good, the language we speak today that was forced upon us, we learned that allegedly, good, right? So then we have to get back to when I was playing Denzel the other night, and you know this is something I believe in. It bothers people when I say it, right? But everything starts at home, right? Everything starts at home. So as far as education, what are we teaching our children at home? See, we can say, yeah, they're teaching our kids this. Okay, but what did you teach them before they went to school? What did you teach them before they went to school? What do you teach them when they come home? Like my kids, I remember my kids were little, they were in grade school, they had questions. I said, look, I would show them, I said, this is wrong, and this is wrong. But for this test, put the right answer on here. The black man did, black man did. But for this test, Just answer that question so you can pass this test. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly. But you see that you're a good parent. You see, and you understood the assignment. You got through the propaganda. Like, you understood that they were giving propaganda. Most people fell for the propaganda. You know? Most people are not going to tell you, hey, you know what? They're bullshitting you, but just, play along, right? Most people are convinced. Sorry, but let me,
And I'm going to say, I've told this story before. Well, one of my friends, he had to his daughter had to do a paper on Thomas Jefferson. She was in about the 5th grade, right? But he's like us. So he told his daughter, that's wrong, talking about the greatness of Thomas Jefferson. Shit. So he showed his daughter what Thomas Jefferson did. And they literally wrote a paper saying, how can a man be great who enslaved people, who was raping a little 12-year-old girl, so on and so forth, right? Shit. And they gave him gave his daughter an F.
Damn.
He took it to the school board. And the superintendent, because he refused to take an F because it was all facts. So they had to change her grade and give her an A.
Oh,
everything they put. So it's according to what are you teaching your children. I understand.
And you got to fight. You see? Yeah.
Yes, and at some point, it's kind of like constantly, for me anyway, constantly saying, look what they do for other people and don't do for us. At some point, we're going to have to plant our flag and say, this is what we got to do for us. They're not going to do it. This is what we need to do. It's... I ain't going to go with the MLK speech on here. I'm going to do my own show and go with the MLK speech when he was resurrected on the Boondocks. But it's almost... we do have to look into what we're going to do. Now, another part of the education. You know why these people know how we're going to react? Because they have studied us. Black people have been studied more than Jesus. Whether you believe that Jesus is historic or not. Black people have been studied more by these people than any religion. So they know what you're going to do. When it comes to us, we don't truly study them. We just study to see, look how much power they got. They're white supremacists. Ooh, look what they're going to do to us. Look how they act. But we don't truly study to see how they act when we do something different. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you find people who want to take a crap on what they call it, civil rights movement, right? Look how those people back then, look how our people back then were able to make a stand. I'm going to boycott this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And things changed, right? A little bit anyway. Changed and got what they want. Changed and got better jobs in Memphis when they did boycott of the trash, right? But we don't study to say, well, if we do this, if we stop giving people our money, things will change. We study them to say, well, they did this to us, and they're just, basically, there's nothing we can do. Because you can't be racist, you can't do this, you can't do nothing. Because we haven't studied to see what we can do and how, if we want something to change, the change is going to have to be us if we want them to do something different. They're not going to change, but you can force their hands and make them do something different, if that makes sense.
I'll say this.
I was diagnosed with
you reminded me of this old video. I never got to watch it wholly. I was supposed to do it for this podcast. But the first 2 minutes always gets me to stop, and say to myself, I should show this on the podcast. This is an interview of this couple during segregation. And this is the trouble. Again, there's so many things that's wrong in the black world. And there's so many things that's wrong in black America. Okay? One of the things that happened in the black world, because see, black America was not too unlike Africa, during segregation, right? In the sense of you had to rely on your neighbor to hire you. You had to rely on, self-employment, race employment. See, today you don't have to do that. I don't have to, I don't need a black person to hire me. You get what I'm saying? In Africa, you need a black person to hire you to this day. But back in the day, back during segregation, it might have been different. But here's the thing: if you do not have resources, capital, so on and so forth, then your economy is not going to be going good. And so a lot of black people have these rose tinted glasses about how segregation was. By the way, I can hear some of your whatever. But
that was me. I'm sorry, my bad.
I know it's you, man. There's only two of us. But what I'm saying is this. We don't realize that if you do not develop an economy, right, then you're going to have to go to the economy of other people. Right? The whole thing about black people coming to America or going to Europe or whatever, they are trying to go to places with more developed economies. Right? And the whole thing with, I think we call it black flight or something like that. I don't remember. But the migration, something like that. But black Americans leaving, rural areas to go to urban areas, a large part of that was, the economy was underdeveloped in the rural area. And so you see this couple, right? They're going to tell us, oh, yeah, you know what? The economy was not developed. Now, they're going to say it in a few words different from how I said it. But basically, they were encouraged to go to school and get a job with the white man. And again, that's a thing that African Americans have that other people don't have, which is you could just roll over and go to a job with the white man, right? But it's not a good thing, right? It's not a good thing. But at the same time, when you do not have your own school system and you do not have your own economy, what you're going to do is you're going to go to another person's school system and to go into another person's economy. And sure enough, that other person, like you just said, is going to fail you if you're not thinking along the lines of serving him. They gave that man's daughter an F because she was like, I'm not going to serve you white boys. And then you had to take it up with the school attendant, the superintendent, and it's like, okay, you got a better grade. Good. But that's, they're like, okay, we got a handful of people who are fighting us, which is fine. Okay? But the vast majority are serving us. And so this is a interesting interview. So I don't know if this is original music or not. But yeah. So it says, you're about to see an interview from 1989 with Jay and his wife and reflecting on growing up in Farmsville. Okay. Prince Edward County, Virginia, during the time of segregation. Stick with it. They are powerful and insightful presenters. So I never really stick with it.
And in a community like this, in a deeply segregated community like Farmville, when you get about 5 or 6 years old, you begin to see.
5 or 6 years old.
You begin to see who owns and controls the means of the distribution of goods and services in the community. All white faces behind a cash register. Giving you money, every time you're giving your money, you're giving it to a white person. These are the kinds of things that touch the psyche.
Mm-hmm. It didn't have to be said because you could always see the line. We went to black schools, white people went to white schools. We went to black church, white people went to white church. If you had to go, we had small black stores in the black community, but to do your major shopping, you had to go to a white store. Your parents worked for white people. So you didn't have to say it. We grew up knowing that we belong over here and they belong over there.
So again, not really a bad thing to belong one place and the other place. But again, you see the problem with segregation, obviously, people don't realize segregation and separation are two different things. Segregation means white domination. It means white domination over black folk. Separation means, black folk having their own separate, land, their own separate power in a sense. Which is a more optimal thing. But that's why I also tell people, look, repatriation is kind of separation, But black folk who are like, hey, I don't like integration because of, because segregation was better. Like, she's going to tell segregation was not better.
In the black community, we were prepared by setting certain goals, objectives for ourselves. This was done primarily in the home, in the church, and in the school at that particular time because schools had a heavy reinforcement into our characters because they were black schools. Schools were not integrated at that time. Do the best that you can with your life. You are unique. You have a contribution to make. You have something to offer. You have a talent. You have skills. Many, many other things that you do have. Go out there to the world and get them. Don't stay here in Farmville. There's nothing here for you. It's a retired person's town, a little small place of this nature. But go on and develop this. College, if you can't go to college, pick up a good skill. Skill trades were heavy then. We've moved away from that, of course. But in the 50s, skill trades were very heavy. Masonry, carpentry, electronics, auto mechanics, and many, many others. So we were encouraged, pardon?
Then to your lack of employment, the young people had to go away from home. You know, every summer,
right.
Most of the young people ran and went to Atlantic City to work.
There were imaginary geographical boundaries in our mind.
So anyway, so I'm not sure if that was already the part that I was thinking of, or if he goes on more about it. You guys could check out the link. I'll put the link in the description. I'll put the links in the chat. But what I'm going to say is this. Basically, we're in when he says, hey, we're in a retirement town. We're in a retired person's town. Don't stay here. Like when the schools are telling the kids, don't stay in this town. Don't stay in this black community. Go out and go work for white folk. You have something to, when they say you have something to contribute, they don't mean you have something to contribute to them. They mean you have something to contribute outside. And I want to put this because there's this brother. I shouldn't talk about it really, but his brother said he's writing a story, like a short story about some fictional account of an initiation, right? And when he writes this story, you kind of see that the purpose of the initiation, the purpose of how, and of course he sets it in America, right? But the purpose of the initiation is to make it so that the people that graduate or like elevate into manhood, right, can serve the community that they grew up in. So, but you see here where you're in a school, you're in a black town, and they're like, don't stay here. Like the teachers are telling you, don't stay here. Try to get into a college. If you can't get into a college, try to get a skill. You can't use that skill here. Go use that skill with white folks. And again, that's not a bad thing to say. It's just a question of how are you going to develop yourself if you're being encouraged by your own people to go develop other people. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. Brother McCarty, does it make a lot of sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, thanks. I wasn't sure. But like, I wasn't sure. I mean, look, I'm just saying like, but that's the thing about it. It's like, and that's the trouble. It's kind of like if you imagine, because I know this guy in Africa who's just like, he wants to go to America. And I'm just like, in fact, I even know this woman in Africa who, she was nice to me. Basically, I got in some trouble with the law kind of stuff. And then she was the only person who tried to help me out. So one day, I don't know, I felt like I was getting money. I wasn't getting money, but I felt like I was getting money. So I surprised her with some money, right? And would you believe she lost all of it in 2 days? And it was a significant amount of money. Well, not too significant, but it was significant in Africa. She lost all of it because she was going to apply for a visa to America. And I was thinking, no, you should flip it. You should take whatever money you got, flip it, and make it better. But she just put it into a visa. And she never even traveled to America. So she just lost all the money, right? My point is that, that's the mentality that a lot of people have. But like, if that was the mentality that was being encouraged on people, we could easily say something's wrong with there, right? What happened inside of this segregated town, and it's not me saying it. This guy's telling you, hey, look, segregation was really bad to the point where even the teachers, while they would tell you, hey, you're special, you're good, you're all that in a bag of chips, right? Which is great. You want that from a school to tell you that you're good, notwithstanding the fact that the society is telling you you're bad. But for them to tell you then, hey, go work for white folk, right? It's no question that a lot of people are thinking of the mindset the best thing they can do is work for white folk. And this is from a black school. Not to say that, obviously I think a black school was better, but it really comes back to, have you developed the economy? Have you developed your economy in such a way that you don't have to send your people away? And that's really what it comes down to. Because say what you will, America does not need to send its people away. the United States of America, does not need to send its people away. I mean, some of our people do go out, some of our people do leave, but it does not need to send its people away. If the United States, for instance, if you went to the public school system and the United States was like, hey, man, when you graduate from high school, go to China. Go to China and you'll get some real opportunity. There's nothing here in America. You'd be like, what? Like what? Like that, like that's what you'd be like, what? It'd be so bizarre for you because, based off our thinking, we're like, yeah, there's no way the United States would do that, right? But that's what we were doing. And that's what we're doing sometimes in Africa too. A lot of people see an opportunity, like a real opportunity for themselves in America or from an American visiting. I tell you, some of these people, some of these women I was talking to, or like, who I didn't really, they weren't vibing with me or whatever. One of them was like, I think she tried to talk with like a French ambassador type shit. Like, because people see opportunity. It's like, where do you see opportunity? And you don't need to teach people. Like, white man does not have to tell you. It's kind of like what Carter G. Woodson said. He said the white man does not need to tell you where to go. When he builds a system, when he educates you, or when he builds a system, you will learn on your own where to go. So I don't think White Boy was providing black folk with a curriculum telling them to go get out of Farmsville or whatever, right? Farmsville, I don't know what it's called. But anyway, but the white boy did. But like the white boy might have educated the other people, but of course they build a whole system around you, and that system has a propaganda, and they were talking about it. When you want to get something major, you go to white folk. When you want to so on and so forth, you go to white folk. When you want to have a job during the summer, you go to white folk. When you want to so on and so forth, you go to white folk. Once that's the case, right? The white man don't gotta tell you he's better. It's like show and tell. He don't gotta tell you. He showed you. And I'm not saying that he's better, and I don't think you should think he's better. I'm just saying that, that's really the system that we were coming upon. But anyway, let me jump back to what Garvey said. Unless Brother Carr, you got something?
You don't think the white man is better?
Nah, I don't think so. But I don't personally think so. But
you don't think he's the ultimate supremacist?
But that's what I'm saying. A lot of people do. Like I remember one time I bumped into this woman, this young girl. I think she was like 12 or 14 or something like that. And I asked her about ancient Egypt and stuff, and she was like, she thinks that the Arab guy, like the Arab corner store, was what the ancient Egyptians looked like. You know what I mean? And I was like, nah, that's not it. Blah blah blah. But it's like, yeah, if you don't like, that's the big thing I was gonna say, cause see, at least in a black school, you didn't get that kind of misinformation per se, or you might not have, cause a lot of people during those times knew better, right? But during this time, you're getting what the white man is teaching his children. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're getting what the white man is teaching his children. And what the white man is teaching his children is that he's the bee's knees. What the white man is teaching his children is that black people ain't shit.
And if you listen to a lot of social media teaching, that's what... See, black people, and I know, and I'm going to keep saying it. They're going to get mad with me and I don't care. They get mad with what I say. But black people teach black people ain't nothing.
Yeah,
black people teach.
Eventually, yeah.
Black people teach this all over social media. The white supremacists, if you mess with what they strategizing, look what white folks do to you. All the HBCU is what's bad for the community. Everything black is bad. Black people don't even get it. So I'm going to keep saying it until they start looking in the mirror at themselves. Because white folks ain't responsible for black people. Black people is responsible for our upliftment. We are responsible for if we get better. They are not. Them people put you on the bottom of a ship like a sardine. They did their plan. So now we got the guy who was, black-owned business ain't gonna, what did he say? A black-owned business ain't gonna close the racial wealth gap. Me personally, I don't worry about the racial wealth gap. Because the only way the racial wealth gap is going to be closed is you're depending on white people to give you some money, right?
Exactly.
So if they don't give you the money, how can you make your living situation better? We keep concerned about and that's what I mean when I say we concern ourselves so much with them. That's why I said they live rent-free. in black people's head. We concern ourselves so much with what they have. See, we can't compete. They got to close the racial wealth gap. What about what we have right now? What about if we decided to organize and strategize right now and do what we can do? I'm not saying people shouldn't fight for reparations. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying, in our current state, we have been studied. And if they gave black people $300,000 right now, black people would be in the same position because we have not decided that we can do for self. And within 5 years, black people will be saying they didn't give us enough money. And that's not me trying to insult or put down black people. What I'm doing is I'm looking and seeing what's happening now. Mm-hmm. Just because you get whatever you do with $3, you're gonna do it with $300,000.
Of course.
When you get $3,000 and you have to go and you racing to go give them, you're gonna do it when you get $300,000.
Yeah.
If you can't stop going to the Arabs and the East Indians now, you won't stop because you get in Orientals, you won't stop because you get 300,000. If you can't look at yourself as something good instead, well, it's the HBCU, see, they did this, they think they're better than us, or they mess up our community. Then when you ask them how, they talk about things that they don't know. But they looking for white people to save them. Most black people on social media is brown-skinned white folk with their teachings. And that ain't me knocking. I'm just saying, and people don't want to see it. But I'm just going to tell you how it is. That's why we constantly fight each other. We have been taught we are the soft targets. Now you just ain't soft, man. You just a damn target. So since everybody else can target you and get away with it, we target ourselves and do what we can to get away with it.
Yes.
We have internalized them being supreme. We have internalized everything that we claim we fighting. We have internalized it and became that. And it ain't gonna get better until we change us. Stop trying to change other people. Once we change us, then our situation get better. Stop concerning yourself with other people have. Only might have $2 million in the bank. I'm not going to be sitting around concerning myself, but only have $2 million in the bank, and I only got 200,000. My goal is to do what I can to get $2 million in the bank.
Exactly.
We only got 2 million, so have nothing to do with me.
Exactly. They want my only Macari gap. Yeah. Like nobody cares.
But what can we do to make our situation better?
That's it. And
that's my focus. And then I told you that's why I changed my focus of my platform, and I changed my that, and I do spirituality. That's what I'm doing from now on. All these old white folks ain't nothing, they the devil. I don't want to hear, look how bad they treat us. I don't even want to be a part of that. I'm not, black folks can't be. I'm not a part of what we can't because I don't believe in that. Mm-hmm. So I just stepped away. Because it's a different type of education that black people need.
Let me say this. No, I agree with what you're saying. Let me say this. This is actually one of the important things I'm going to put in my book, right? But it's really interesting. And that's why I say sometimes we got to go back. So this white boy writes this book. What's his name? Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations. What's interesting is this. So there are two types of, so in fact, you know the Bible, right? I'm pretty sure you know the Bible, right? There's a story of the prodigal son, right? And it's a story of this guy who he gets money and he wastes it, or he drinks in all the parties and bullshits or whatever, right? And, the idea is that the father accepts the kid, notwithstanding how he messed up. And the other kid's kind of jealous because he lived a life with, his wealth and he built something for himself, right? But what's interesting is this. I was like, where did I ever, I never heard this word before, right? Prodigal, except for inside of that story, and I didn't really pay attention to the story. But what happens is this. That personality of prodigality, right, which is, focusing on luxuries, focusing on drinks, focusing on so on and so forth, is contrasted to this other personality called parsimony, okay? Which is pretty much, kind of being miserly kind of thing, right? And what happens is this. They are, even inside of this book, which is what they call the foundational text of capitalism, he's like, it's better to be parsimonious. Okay? That the economy can develop with parsimonious people. That realistically, a person with parsimony or whatever, person practicing parsimony would be a better business partner, would be better somebody better to loan to, better something so forth, right? But guess what? A lot of what we call black culture is pushing prodigality. You get what I'm saying? So it's to say that if you have $1 million, right, you're expected, like culturally, you're expected to splurge that shit. You know, get yourself some name brands, get yourself some good gear, get yourself some, beer, some alcohol, so on and so forth. You're not expected to hold on to it and make sound investments. Right? And we see this time and again. And black people became the face of it. And, you could put your theory as to why black folk became the face of prodigality, the face of luxury spending, so on and so forth. But, like you said, as long as you have, like you said, if black folk get this money, a good majority, super majority of us would be prodigal with it. Because that's what we're being conditioned to be prodigal. Okay? Now, what does that mean for us? Now, part of one of the things I want to say in this book is, we have to get rid of this prodigality mindset, right? But what I'm pointing out really is that as long as and again, my book is not. It's, the odds of it being popular are just slim to none, right? You know what I mean? Like I'm going to make it a thing to announce when I make my first sale, when I make my first 10 sales, when I make my first 20 sales, and you're going to see the distance. But what I'm saying is this: if our people on a wide scale are not taught that prodigality is actually negative, right? On a like you said, if you give us $300,000, you give us $3 million, we're going to spend that shit right away. And the thing is this: everybody knows that black Americans, and you can't even blame hip hop, although hip hop is really influential in that. But everybody knows for a long time that black Americans, I don't want to say in particular, but black Americans are very much on the prodigal side, very much on the luxury side. And in fact, the reason why I could say this is because there's this one time I went through the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I just tried to look up all the relevant. Sorry, I'm just trying to search while I'm thinking. All the relevant economics conversations that he has. And so one of my favorite is, by the way, this one kind of tells you how the bulk of African Americans were on welfare during Malcolm X's, tenure as a child, right, in Lansing. But that's not important. What I'm saying is, it is important, but it's not, whatever. But this is the joke that I liked on page 210. If you read between the lines, these white folk are telling you, hey, black people have mixed priorities. This is in 1964. So he's like, Malcolm X is saying, I was seeing in real life the same point made in the joke that during the 1964 presidential campaign, Jet magazine reported that Senator Barry Goldwater had told somewhere it was that a white man, a Negro, and a Jew were given one wish each. The white man asked for securities, the Negro asked for a lot of money, the Jew asked for some imitation jewelry, and that colored boy's address. Okay? So what he was saying was that black folk, even if they have a lot of money, right? The joke that Barry Water, and it's a racist joke, as they say, right? But the joke that Barry Water's making is that white folk have their priorities straight. You want to get securities. Okay? Black folk want to get money. If you think about what reparations is, it's I want a lot of money, right? And the joke, I guess it was a little bit on a, people would say it's an anti-Semitic joke, where they say the Jew would ask for imitation jewelry, so it's not even real jewelry, but the imitation jewelry, and the colored boy's address, right? As to say, he knows this black man is going to want to buy luxuries, right? And of course, I don't want to say too much because obviously it's supposed to be in my book, but the point being that, yeah, if you don't change this mindset where you want a lot of money and you don't really care for securities and you really care about imitation jewelry, and you're gonna see if you look at black media, it's really pushed on you. Splurge, buy excess, buy things that you don't really need right now, right? Make sure you get this. I got five PlayStation 5s or whatever, right? You'll see that. Now, this is the last part of it, so let me see what it says. In all my years in the streets, I've been looking at the exploitation that for the first time I really saw and understood. Now I watch brothers entwining themselves in the economic clutches of the white man who went home every night with another bag of the money drained out of the ghetto. I saw that the money, instead of helping the black man, was going to help enrich these white merchants, who usually lived in an exclusive area where a black man had better not get caught unless he worked there for somebody white, right? So the idea is, of course, the idea, of course, is that black folk didn't like you said, like black folk didn't support black businesses and instead they supported white businesses and the economics was off. But the point being, like you said, if you hit it big, if you got reparations, it would be unlikely that things would change much, because the mindset is such that because this mindset is bad for everybody. Again, when I said Adam Smith wrote it, he wasn't really thinking about black Americans. He wasn't really thinking about African people. There were no black Americans when he wrote it. You know what I mean? There were African people, but he wasn't thinking about them. He was thinking about Europeans.
And now, what's a black American, man? Because you said a black American and African people. Are they the same?
Well, what I mean is that he wrote it before America was a country. Before they were Americans. You know what I mean?
Actually, I'm just being a little sarcastic. I ask black people, what the hell is a black American?
Yeah. No. What I meant is that, like, 'cause I know a lot of people will feel like, a lot of people for some reason, I don't know if you know, but I don't know, you call them African Americans, I don't know, but a lot of, I'll say even us, a lot of us think we're the main characters of the world, So if like a white man wrote something, he's really just trying to talk about us. But it's like, I'm just kind of saying, there's no way he was talking about because like America didn't even exist at the time. You know what I mean? Like he was there's no way he was talking about But back then they would have been Africans in America. They would have been back then it was like this was before the United States was an independent country. So it's just like it was during the time that America was a colony. So it's like. If you argue that there are such a thing as African Americans, you'd have to talk about the 14th Amendment. That's when there were African Americans in a sense. But like before the 14th Amendment, you wouldn't have called like black people Americans. You would have just because they didn't have any citizenship at that point. But
let me say something right quick.
Yeah, man.
Let me say something right quick before I get off, right? Because I'm about to get off here and then listen offline.
Oh yeah, I gotta get off too. Yeah.
You were talking about not supporting black businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at today. Just honest. How many black people tell you they're going to a Mexican restaurant? Now what you do is you go inside of a black restaurant and tell me how many Mexicans you see.
Oh yeah, definitely no.
How many black people tell you they're going to an Italian restaurant and go put on their son to go to meeting clothes? They go get dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a black restaurant, find you an Italian. Or look and see how black people dress when the majority of us go to a black restaurant, right? It's respect.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say everything starts in the home. Everything starts in the home. Now, we can continue to blame other people. We can. And I'm okay with them blaming other people for everything. And I'm not saying white people didn't do nothing. This ain't about letting nobody off the hook. But we have to understand where we have to hold ourselves accountable. And when I play that video today, I'm going to tell people right now, pardon the French, of what Martin Luther King is going to say during his resurrection from the boondocks. But it's basically, what we're talking about is something what we're talking about now. Now, when you were talking about people with money, a person I would tell a lot of black people to listen to is Chad Johnson. Ocho Cinco, he be on Club Shay Shay. I don't watch Club Shay Shay, but when you go to talking about money, that is somebody, a lot of black people, should black people in general should start listening to. Chad Johnson had a very long NFL career, made about $60 million during his NFL career, right? He makes money now. And if you see Chad Johnson, he look like big diamonds in his ear. Because people laugh at him for how cheap he is. Chad Johnson said he has never spent over $8 for earrings. He said he has never spent over like $200-$300 for a gold chain. He said because those things are not important. We have to learn what we should invest our money in. Or we should learn to save our money. Now, this is a guy who was making millions. Mm-hmm. And the people in the NFL, some of his peers would laugh at him. He was talking to one of his peers one time, and he asked him, how much did you pay for those earrings in your ear? He said, man, they were $6,000 a piece. He's $6,000 for the left earring, $6,000 for the right earring. Chad Johnson said, look at mine. How much you think I paid for mine? He said, I paid $8 for both of them. Now, he done put $12,000 in his ear. Chad Johnson said, when the light shine on it, you can't tell the difference. You going in the dark, you can't tell the difference. I know what I have. The whole world don't need to see what we have. Drive it. Now, did he ever buy an expensive car? Yes. But now he drives around in a smart car. But the thing about it is the lessons that he's teaching. Yeah. Even, you make all that money and you still say, I ain't spending that much money on no jewelry. I ain't spending this much money on no clothes. I'm not spending this much money on that. Of course, he got some stuff that he probably spent money on because he made a lot of money. But somebody who wouldn't even get an apartment his first 3 years in the NFL, he just stayed in the Cincinnati Bengals stadium till they told him he couldn't stay there no longer. He refused to pay rent.
Okay, he pushing it. But what you're saying is true. It's all right. What I'm saying is this too. You can spend when you got it, but like when you don't got it, you shouldn't spend. And also Marcus Garvey gives us this advice as well. He says, look, keep, have some savings. Go about your life with some savings. Do not spend more than you have. Don't spend more than you earn. I'm sorry. I'm trying to look up the word that Matron used. She said that. Am I allowed to say that word? No, I'm joking. She says black culture is also pushing niggardliness or niggardliness. I don't know. How do you say that word, man?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure how to say it since I first read it. But thank you for letting me speak, man. I'm gonna go ahead and step down, bro.
Oh yeah. Keep listening. All right, boss. I'll probably head out soon too. But I just wanted to finish the Marcus Garvey quote. So, I had the whole screen. The whole screen wasn't showing. I hate that shit. All right, so Machen says black culture is also pushing niggardliness. So, I looked it up. It looks like it's stinginess, and stinginess and grudgingly mean about spending or granting. And that's a possibility too. I'm not gonna say it's not. What I'll put it this way is that, and this is like I said, the trouble is that you can quote people from 100 years, and a lot of their quotes still apply. So there's this guy. What's his name? Oh, Kelly Miller. Kelly Miller, back in the day, so the white man always used to show you a dichotomy and say there's only two choices you had, W. Du Bois or Booker T. Washington. And this guy, Kelly Miller, was like the third option, right? He was like a scientific, really, really good brother, honestly. He's one of the brothers who back in the day made a case. He made an argument as to why women shouldn't be allowed to vote. And it was a good argument, I think about it sometimes, what he said was actually pretty good. Basically, he was saying because men and women shouldn't have separate interests, right? And that, men should be voting according to what's best for their families. You don't need to have two different votes for one family, And it's that's actually a pretty good thing. When you have, if you have wife and husband voting in, opposite directions, that's a divided family in and of itself, which is not good. And also, obviously, he wanted for the man to be the leader, but that's also a good thing. If you're being objective, it's a good thing. If you're saying to yourself, like, if you're a woman who's like with a bad husband, probably not a good thing, But like, you shouldn't be a woman with a bad husband. You know what I mean? Like I think you have bigger problems than how the dude votes if he's a bad husband. But anyway, I mean, clearly there's something that qualifies this dude as a bad husband. So just don't marry him. But that's another thing. That's another problem too. It's like, if a woman's not married, then should she not be able to vote? But that's another complicated issue to it. But his reasoning was pretty good. So I probably should have read that maybe I'll read that for the next podcast. I don't know. But Kelly Miller, so Kelly Miller, he says the Negro pays for what he wants and begs for what he needs from the white man. And that like stays to this day. But again, you gotta we have to contextualize why you would pay for what you want and beg for what you need from the white man. And it's like, if you're in the white man's country, that's exactly what you're going to do. This is why travel is so good, because when you travel, when you get out of the country, you realize, hey, I don't have to, engage with white folk. I don't have to go to white businesses. Now, I'm not saying that somewhere down the line some white person didn't produce the, whatever I'm purchasing, sure. But in Africa, it's like, you really, white people are just like, if they're there, they're in the far distant background. As opposed to here, where it's like, you make a lot of noise and then, the manager shows up and it's a white boy. Although I don't really know exactly, but I'm just saying. Let's just finish this Garvey thing. And thanks everybody in the chat for coming through. I see Forecast is here. Shout out to Forecast. Forecast is a good brother.
Do you realize that such statements could get you lynched?
This is my favorite thing right here, man. He's like, you realize these statements get you lynched? And Garvey's like, okay.
Him and took possession of his property. I say the KKK is the invisible government of the United States.
What do you mean?
The clan represents the spiritual feeling and even the physical attitude of every white man in this land.
Do you realize that such statements could get you lynched?
We have 5 million substantial oak trees between Africa and the West Indies. We are ready for a lynching party tonight if they wanted to.
Right? I tell you, man, I got a tree in my backyard. If you want to come try me. That's the attitude. This is the attitude. This is next level. Okay, this is next level. Because this is not even like some dude, this is not even like some dude in a bar, man, I wish a white boy would come to me. That's not this. It's a dude on the radio. Meeting with the leader of the Klan. So he met with Edward Young Clark, the acting imperial wizard of the Ku Klux Klan in 1922. And after this meeting, he's like, look, if a motherfucker want to try me, come try me. I invite you to my house. There are a lot of oak trees. If you want to have a lynching party, shit, we're gonna have a lynching party. But one of us ain't leaving. And I have plans with my wife, in the evening. You know what I'm saying? I have plans with my wife in the evening. So anyway, he's a bad man right here, man. That's what they call bad man. If you guys don't know, that's what they call bad man. All right.
Recently, there have been several rapings of black women by whites. Was that discussed?
Yes, it was. He claims that they are as much against that as any self-respecting Negro should be. But I know better. In my opinion, they are structured for the purpose of offending, suppressing, and killing Negroes. I would advise every Negro and those who aspire to leadership to form an organization similar to that of the Ku Klux Klan, so that they may be able to look out for their own interests and not continue to be begging white people to do for them what they ought to be doing for themselves.
Thank you very much. All right, so you see, I kind of wanted to clip this video. I was trying to record it, and I wanted to clip it so it could be part of my introduction. And I was thinking maybe put some hip hop beat to it, but for some reason I couldn't record it. So that's it. But anyway, other than that, that's pretty much the entirety of the podcast. Let me see if there's any comments. Forecast says the audio sounds low, or is it him? Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, for some reason, this video is not playing for me. You know, like, it's not picking up on recording. I was kind of worried about that. That's why I kind of asked if people could hear Brother Bakari, because it was like, for some reason, this video is not recording for me. Like, it could be because of whoever uploaded it didn't, like, I don't know, honestly. But yeah. But basically, he's like, if you guys want to have a lynching party, we can go for it, you know? And he's like, if and this white boy, what did he say? He said, the church, no, white people were like sexually assaulting black women at this point in time, right? You know, to this day, obviously. But they were doing that, and he messed with the clan leader, and the clan leader says, "Oh, we don't agree with that." And you said Bakari was low too? Shit. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think it might be my OBS studio. Because it might be that you guys are hearing my mic pick up my TV. But, like, it used to be that you guys could hear my TV. Sorry, you could hear my computer. But I might have possibly changed the setting. And, like, but it's not showing up on OBS. Like, I could alter it. A lot of times it's good to do things... like program your own stuff to make them work, but you know, like there's the other fault where it's like if things change, you don't know, whatever. But yeah, I apologize for that. But anyways, that's pretty much the podcast, guys. The link for this audio is in the chat, so it's in the description for this video. I would advise you guys look at the African American couple from way back. If not, I mean, I didn't watch it myself because I was like, I should make a podcast about it, but I never did. But other than that, I'll just say thank you to everybody who showed up. Thanks, of course, to Brother Bakari because he came through. Unless somebody else wants to come through, I can thank them too. Tyler, he was always here. Good brother. Great brother, in fact, right? A Real Black Gentleman's here. Also, great brother. Forecast, Matron, Bitter Medicine. All of them have excellent programs. You guys should make sure you check out Revolutionary Matron. She was reading these books and also vote on her community tab. She's about to read another book. We don't know which yet, but she's gonna give it to us on Monday. So it's really good readings, and it's like definitely something to do when you have the time. But other than that, I appreciate everybody. Thanks for the compliment, Forecast, and I'll chat with you guys later. And Shemim Hotep, Anku Ja, Seneb Neb, Amen Ma'at, Dua Nature.